Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I love a nice 1 o'clock Flyers tilt on a Saturday afternoon. What sucks is they lost. What sucks is Claude Giroux makes his return to South Philadelphia, has a couple points, so does DeBrincat. And if you think about the last two games that we're going to dissect today, Johnny Gaudreau dominates, DeBrincat gets on the board. It's almost as if some of the players that Chuck Fletcher should have maybe made a move for in the offseason came up to play. What a joke. But look, I mean, in this 4-1 loss against Ottawa, I don't think the Flyers played bad. Honestly, I think that they've won a lot of games this season that they probably didn't deserve to win. And this one, they probably should have won, but some special teams issues came into the factor here, right? I mean, their penalty kill, taking those penalties to begin with is problematic, but the penalty kill, they had times on the power play where they weren't able to generate as much as you would like them to. They scored the first goal. They get up there, nice tally by Kevin Hayes on the backside there after Travis Konechny gets the puck on the far side. Just some nice creativity to enter the zone. Bada bing, bada boom, you're at home. It's emotional. You take a 1-0 lead. But, you know, from there, it just didn't feel the same. They did have chances, don't get me wrong. Travis Sanheim with arguably his best look of the season. Beautiful dish from Owen Tippett where he was very active on the offensive side, but nothing. Wade Allison ended up not scoring, but his name popped. Unfortunately, he ended up getting hurt, and it looked ugly. It looked really bad. We know that that's a big-time storyline behind the name Owen Tippett, so we'll get some more information in the next upcoming days, I assume, but I'm definitely expecting him to miss some time, and that's when all these other young players, everyone has to step up. The Morgan Frosts of the world, who he hasn't been what we wanted him to be at this point, and basically I'm already not throwing in the towel full throttle, but when is enough enough? When are we going to stop saying, well, only if Morgan Frost can do X, Y, and Z? Only if Morgan Frost showed... Well, what do you mean? How long has it been for Morgan Frost? Early in the year, you're like, whoa, he lit your eyeballs up a bit. But really, I think as the season progressed, you kind of know where he stands at this point. I'm sorry. Now, if he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. That's great. But he's had plenty of time to win me over. My point, though, is that with someone like Wade Allison out, who plays a pesty game, who plays a physical brand, I thought they did play a big physical game. They got in on the forecheck. They threw their body around. I love the fact that Tony DeAngelo, he gets hit. Now, I don't like the fact that he ended up having to go under the tunnel and leave and then come back, but the personality of who Tony DeAngelo is, as soon as he took that hit, he came back on the ice. It doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter the size of the human being. Let's drop the mitts. Now, it didn't necessarily end beautifully for Tony DeAngelo, but that's the style of player he is. And when you think about the culture change from last year being a bunch of bitches at times, that's a sign of Tony DeAngelo not. And right before that, you had Travis Konechny throwing some punches too. Now, his was a little bit different. Now, different per people that they're fighting. I give Tony D a ton of respect for the choice. But yeah, I mean, I thought that they did play a game of screw you. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a battle. But unfortunately, the special teams was the difference maker. And that's where they lost this one. The thing is, you got a game tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So you got to turn it around quickly. Once again, we talk about the style, the way it looked. This was a way better style of hockey. The result wasn't what we wanted. But the way they played the game, other than taking stupid penalties, and the coach made that very clear at the end during the post-game press conference. But I'm a little bothered with the coach right now. Because after the Columbus loss, he just no-shows and doesn't even feel like giving anybody answers. And then when he was in front of the media today, it was more of like the same. You basically gave us nothing. And he's freaking out at some guys. We're starting to get a taste of the relationship between the head coach and John Tortorella and the media. Now, it's clear he doesn't like Sam Carchidi. That's just reality, right? I think every time we ask questions and hear people ask questions, he's the one that gets more attitude. But on a back-to-back with Carter Hart, who's been your workhorse to this point, if you ask the question, is he going tomorrow? I think he deserves a better answer than, Sam, you know I'm not answering that. Jesus Christ. Like, come on, dude. It's a second half of a back-to-back. It's not a Monday game and a Thursday game. It's not a Monday game and a Wednesday game. That's a legitimate question to me. There's people on every beat that you know are a pain in the ass. You know who's a pain in the ass to Nick Sirianni and Doug Peterson. You know who's a pain in the ass to Doc Rivers. You know there's certain guys out there where that you roll your eyes as soon as they get their question in because you really don't feel like dealing with them. And quite frankly, there's times where I don't feel like listening to them. But then there are times when those people ask a question that I acknowledge, right, that's fair. Fair game. But this is part of the John Tortorella experience. For whatever it's worth. Going back to that Columbus game, though, they go down 3-0. They lost 5-2. But you go down 3-0 because of brutal turnovers. So there is a common theme here. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Going in the penalty box, having to play a man down. Not scoring on special teams when you have the power play. This is hurting you. Well, Owen Tippett's game in Columbus in the first period, Johnny Gaudreau on the back check turns it over. And then, Owen Tippett turned it over on the back check. Johnny Gaudreau gets it, and then he moves up ice. Maybe some luck involved, and the puck bounced their way. But when you have odd man numbers, when you have an odd man rush, those are the type of things that happen. So Owen Tippett, sloppy first. Even TK with the pass up by the blue line trying to get cute. He even had a second turnover that was trash, looking for the high guy. But thank the Lord, Carter Hart was there to make an excellent save. It could have been even worse. But I did feel because Werenski got injured, a couple guys went down, Columbus was playing with 4 defensemen, that over time you were going to get worn down. It's hard when you have 5D. Hell, it's hard when you have 6. But I'm just saying, when one guy goes down and you're playing with 5 defensemen and now you're rotating, you saw that happen today for the first goal for Ottawa. Tony gets the 5-minute major. Now you're playing with a different D partner. Things get a little sloppy. What do you know? The puck's in the back of your net. So when Columbus is down to 4, you can see the progress of the Flyers establishing a bit more. They start to creep back into it. I thought Tony had a great game in Columbus. Between that, getting back when Gaudreau had a mini breakaway, he gets his stick on the puck there. Maybe there was a bit of his stick on the skate, his stick around there, whatever it was. He still got back and made a great effort. I thought Tony stood out to me in Columbus. Rasmus Ristolainen with a dive on the blue line to stop a potential breakaway as well. Konechny's pass to Provorov, backdoor. Nice to see Provorov get in the blue paint area on the backside. Hopefully we can get a bit more in Travis Sanheim offensively because he's basically been non-existent in that department. And that's a big part of his game. Like, there's a reason why I was optimistic about who Travis Sanheim can be. And I thought last year he took steps in the right direction, but it was because of the fact that he gets up ice. He joins the rush. He's that extra layer. He could be that third guy high. Sometimes I don't even care if he gets lower than that. It's not even the third guy high. He's down by the goal. I don't care. Join the rush. It just hasn't been the case for him at this point. We knew it was going to be tough. Right now, they're 7-5-2. You told me that was their record before the season began right now. We'd all sign up for it. It's really 7-7. It's a 500 record. But you take those points when you can. One was what? The 1-0 loss in New York? And then the other one was against Carolina when you did have the lead late after falling behind early. So it is what it is. Still important points when it's all said and done. But I need an answer. I gave them a lot of credit because when they did lose a couple games, knowing that this team was undermanned, they responded. Now, here we are again. Columbus, Senators. Now you have Dallas. And I know the Senators' record. People are saying, well, it doesn't tell them who they are. It's not the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's not the Boston Bruins. It's not the Las Vegas Golden Knights. My point is, you got to win these games. And you're not going to beat every single team. Trust me. All right, it's not the NBA where the number one seed could get 68 wins, 70 wins. It's not like that. There's more of a night-to-night battle in this league. With that said, you got to take advantage on these style teams. Columbus stinks. The Columbus Blue Jackets stink. So falling behind 3-0 is inexcusable. And I do feel John Tortorella's pain because they showed him a ton on the bench and he was making all sorts of facial expressions, and his feature shows disgust, as it should. He's putting his head down and he's like scrunching his forehead. He's screaming F-bombs when Konechny makes bad passes. I mean, yeah, that's frustrating. You're doing it to yourself. We know this team is limited, right? We know this team has a ceiling. That's why you can't be doing it. That's a controllable. And this game, I get it, is all about who makes less mistakes because it's a fast-paced game. It's back and forth. There's quick decisions. You don't have a lot of time to think. So mistakes are going to happen. No doubt about it. There's never a team in the history of the sport over 60 minutes that plays clean the whole way, that makes zero mistakes. Of course you're going to make mistakes. But I think the ones that they've made over the last two games specifically are a level of unacceptable to me. There's some that's like, it happens. I get it. We might point it out and say it can't happen and all that, but the turnovers we saw in Columbus and the penalties, even if you want to say it's weak, maybe shouldn't have been called, embellishment happened, whatever it is, I think over the last 2 days, you're allowed to be a little bit more in the camp of this is egregious stuff compared to mistakes happen in this game. So, you know, we'll see how they respond. Quick turnaround. They played a lot of back-to-backs. The coach stressed the fact that they've been in shape because of the way that he handles his training camp. Okay. But by now, what are they? I guess they're 14 games in. Well, how long does that conditioning last before other teams just catch up? Because after you play 14 games of hockey, everyone's conditioned. Right, I think maybe in the first beginning of the weeks and you play your first 6-7 games, if you have a harsher training camp, well then yeah, it'll show in the early stages. But once you're 14 to 20 games in, aren't you playing enough hockey where you just naturally get into shape for playing as much as you are? So do you have more of an advantage at this point of the season? I don't think the conditioning factor is as much of an edge. Not now. Maybe we pointed that out in the beginning. They look better. They look crisper. Their third period, second period, stuff like that. Maybe you go, oh, wow, all right. Not now. By the way, I didn't even realize this, and this is no knock on Kevin Hayes because I think he's been better than he has been bad. But the other day, before today, he had 12 points. Now he has 13 because he scored that goal. He has 3 goals and 10 assists on the season. I was kind of stunned by that. There's been times where I acknowledge, wow, that was a filthy pass. Not much time, not much space, but put it right on the money. Or he put it in an area where he knew his teammate was coming. Not necessarily there yet to go straight on tape to tape, but he puts it in a nice gray area so his team within flow, skating up ice, can take the puck, beat the defenseman wide, have a nice rip on that. There's been some of those that's happened. I've acknowledged a lot of good stuff from Hayes, but didn't feel like he had 12 points. And at that point, before tonight, it was 12 points in, 13 games? Now he's got 13 points in 14 games. I didn't know the point total was. It doesn't feel like his point total necessarily describes the play. I think he's had great times. I think he's had not so great times. I just didn't expect him to have that much of a point total. I think it would be more of an appeal. It would appeal to the eye more when you go, wow, you 13 points already this year? So whatever that means to you, I would say, like, I don't think he's played as well as his point total says, but I think he's had really good moments. And he's Played well. I'm not saying he's played bad. Has not played bad. Let me be very clear. He has not played bad. I was just shocked to see him in second. If you told me that he was right underneath Travis Konechny in points, he was number 2 in points, even though I'm aware of what line he plays on and how much ice time he gets. I mean, he did get benched, to be fair. At one point, the coach didn't like it enough to sit his ass on the bench. But yeah, I don't know. I was just shocked to see that. That's all. Shocked to see that. All right. We got a couple questions on the Anytime Hotline. Guess we read a couple off. This was after the Columbus game. Freddie says, Broads, do you think Tortorella should have spoke after the game? I mean, I don't know. The message is that he's not happy if he doesn't speak. So I don't know if the team needs that. I think the team is very aware. I think the team knows. I think Owen Tippett knows I didn't do good enough. Tortorella not speaking isn't the difference in this team understanding that it's not okay what happened. They all know. They've been around the block long enough. To me, if you're a head coach and you lose, show up and answer the questions. That's just me personally. Once again, this is part of the John Tortorella experience. And he's done a damn good job to this point, and he has a hell of a career and has done a lot of good things in Columbus with not a lot of elite talent and not a lot of unbelievable talent. So there's something to be said about the way he handles business. But for me personally, after a loss that you didn't really I don't think I would do it. Now, who's to say I'd be a good head coach? I have no idea. He's got the pedigree. I would have done it. Do I think he should have? Yeah, I think he should have. You lost a hockey game. You know how many games you're going to lose? You're going to lose a lot of hockey games. And I like the fact that he's real. He's pissed. He's not happy. He wasn't happy after the loss to Ottawa because he thought his team beat themselves. And a quote that he stated, something along the lines of, when you're playing teams out there, it's hard enough to beat them alone. Now you have to beat 2 teams, yourself and them. You're not going to win a lot of hockey games when that's the case. So I'll take a fiery head coach, even though I ripped him for the way that he answered questions to Sam Carchidi over not showing up at all. But at the end of the day, what is this really? Is this team the difference in getting where we want them to be? Is Tortorella answering 5 questions on the road in Columbus or not? No. But I don't like the way he handled it. Ron says, you mentioned last show that Travis Konechny isn't a captain to you. Seems like the coach felt differently. I just want to know if you are surprised by this. Yeah, Ron, I am. And I didn't know that was going to happen, to be honest with you. I had no idea. I just brought it up because we had a text message on the Anytime Hotline about Travis Konechny and the captain. And I'm like, I don't really see it. But I also acknowledge that giving Lawton a letter is more of a statement to everybody else than it is to Scott Lawton. It means a lot to Scott Lawton, and it is a message to Lawton. But the way that Tortorella plays the mental game, it's a lot more about the other guys. Provorov, Kevin Hayes. I didn't really see TK on that list. Now, apparently, he likes the work habits in practice. He likes the way he handles business there. Okay, I don't see that stuff. I don't see the everyday battle and the everyday approach when he's on the ice and Voorhees at the skate zone, putting in his time. Pre-game skates, the mental approach, the focus on the details, all that stuff. I don't get a day-to-day webcam on Travis Konechny when he's skating. So John Tortorella seems to see something differently from that aspect. Okay, still, to this day, even after hearing Tortorella preach about Travis Konechny, do I think that he is a captain of an NHL locker room? No, I don't. Do I care who gets it when it's all said and done? Not really, as long as you win hockey games. People put too much emphasis on it to a level. They think the reason why the Flyers have sucked over the years is because Claude Giroux had the captaincy. That's stupid. At the same time, I do believe there's a lot of value in that. Now, I know that sounds a bit hypocritical, but being in locker rooms my whole life, I know the power of what a C does, and I know what it means for the crew. But I never had a captain was the difference in us being great or not at the same time. But it's more about just the way the group relates. That might sound jumbled. If you've been in a room, I think you get it. I don't look at any of my captains over the years and said, we finished with this record because of that captain. We would have finished differently if that guy had a C or didn't have a C. If we just played every day the same, that guy C, no C. No, I don't think it changes your record, but there's something about the approach every day in the room, the approach every day at practice, just the vibe that's given based off the C. But if the skill is in there to win a ton of hockey games, the skill is in there to win a ton of hockey games. So take it for what it is. I guess it's sort of like an NBA head coach. People put way too much emphasis on the NBA head coach. If you have Joel Embiid and James Harden playing at an elite level, you're going to get a good chance. If Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green are playing fantastic basketball, you're going to have a great chance. But Steve Kerr has a mold on things. I guess that maybe might be the best kind of way to explain it. To a level. Anyway. Back to back. Dallas Stars. We'll see. Thank you, guys. Catch you on the next one.